Here at Ikelite, we love shooting on Canon cameras. They have the most consistent ergonomics, best value, and a wide range of lenses. So today, we're going to compare the R10 and the R7. If you're looking at either one of these for underwater use, this is the video for you. First, let's talk about some of the most obvious differences. Here you can see the R10 is a bit smaller than the R7. Overall, I would say that the R7 has a more pro body while the R10 feels more entry level. This isn't an indication of build quality as both cameras feel really solid in the hands. One interesting physical difference between the two is the tactility of the buttons, how they feel to use. When pressing on the buttons of the R10, you're going to feel a solid resistance. You'll know when you've made contact. However, the R7 doesn't have this resistance. The buttons seem to follow through to the end. This actually makes the most difference in your shutter button. Without the resistance of firmly pressing on the shutter, you reduce camera shake at the point of taking a picture. The R7 also has a switch to toggle between photo and video, so if you're a hybrid shooter, you'll be able to save separate settings between the two modes. Another difference that turns out to be a big deal is the resolution on the back of the touchscreen. The R10 screen is 1.04 million dot, while the R7 screen is 1.6 million dot resolution. That doesn't seem like much, but on the R10, I found that my photos seem blurry when reviewing them on the back of the camera. This doesn't affect the final image, but if you like to review your images underwater while diving to check the focus, this might be something to think about. The Canon R10 has a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, and the R7 has a 33 megapixel APS-C sensor. While it's nice to have more megapixels, you're not going to see a huge difference in picture quality due to the megapixels. Oftentimes, most of your quality comes from your lighting and lens choice. However, you'll find a bit more flexibility in post when cropping if you're using the R7. Both sensors are more than capable of producing quality results for sharing your work online as well as creating clear prints. Another point to mention is that low light performance goes down when megapixels go up, so you're going to see more noise at high ISOs on the R7, but it's not too noticeable between 24 and 33 megapixels. For underwater photographers, viewfinder magnification can be a big deal. The R10 has a magnification of 0.95 while the R7 has a magnification of 1.15. This means that when looking through the viewfinder, you're going to see a bit more of the world on the R7. If you're used to using our 45-degree viewfinder attachment, this might be important to know. If you're using strobes, you'll see a difference in the flash sync speed. The R10 is 1/200th and the R7 is 1/250th. The faster sync speed will not only allow you to capture action faster, but underwater you'll be able to get deep, rich blue background that always looks great. Whether you're shooting photos or video, autofocus is important, especially underwater. Both cameras actually feature the same autofocus system with 651 focus points. There's not too much else to say. At this point, autofocus on cameras are pretty good, especially at this price point. Contrary to the autofocus system, in-body stabilization or IBIS on these two cameras are very different. The R10 features no IBIS outside of Canon's digital image stabilization, which requires cropping into your image. This is most important when shooting video, so you might want to pick up a lens with image stabilization built in. Canon labels these lenses IS. Here are some of the great IS lenses for underwater use. The Canon R7 does feature 6 stops of image stabilization with up to 8 stops when used with an IS lens. And that's all without a crop. You'll find much more usable footage with the R7 with this feature alone. Video is actually a strong point for these two cameras. Both feature video resolutions and quality that is rare at this price point, but it's also where you're going to see a big difference between the two cameras for underwater use. Both can record up to 4K 60 frames per second and produce nice results, perfectly suitable for sharing videos with others or entry-level video production. However, the biggest difference between these two cameras is how they shoot 4K 60. The R7 is able to record using the full width of its sensor, which is great for getting wide shots and honestly very impressive compared to some of the other pro models that don't do this. The R10 on the other hand has an almost laughable crop. You're going to have to punch in 65% of your image. This not only narrows the field of view, but is also going to affect your overall image quality. The R10 and R7 can both shoot 10-bit color, but again have their differences. Out of the box, the R10 is going to shoot standard 8-bit footage. You can go to the menu and turn on HDR recording, which gives you a 10-bit video file. However, this is specifically intended for use with HDR TVs and monitors. The R7 has the ability to shoot 422 10-bit footage in C-Log3, which is going to give you a washed out image that can be color graded to get the most dynamic range out of the sensor. If you want normal color and don't intend on color grading your footage, just stick to 8-bit standard footage. For underwater use where 60 frames per second is pretty standard and color grading can be so important, I think that the R7 is a clear winner here when it comes to video performance. Battery life is a bit different on each of these cameras too. The R10 is rated for 450 shots on an LPE17 battery, and the R7 is rated for 660 shots on a standard battery used in most of the Canon mirrorless cameras. While the R7 outperforms the R10, we've never had a problem with the battery on the R10 during a standard dive. Pricing is another pretty big difference between these two systems. As of recording this video, the R10 alone is $879. However, we sell an R10 and housing bundle for $23.95 that comes with a camera, 18-45 lens, housing, dome port, and focus gear. Everything that you need to take it underwater right now out of the box. The Canon R7 standalone is going to cost $14.99 with our housing being $11.95. This is not a bundle and you still need to purchase your dome and port extensions separately. So for the R10 underwater system, you're paying $23.95, and for the R7 underwater system, you're looking at $26.94 plus the cost of lenses, dome, and extensions. If you're needing any help figuring out what you need to purchase, please let us know in the comments below or email us at ikelite@ikelite.com. Overall, you're looking at a pretty serious difference in cost of entry for these two systems, but I hope that some of the specs I've mentioned help you make a decision that's right for you. Thanks for watching, and happy shooting.